Welcome, students. Today we will be looking at another chapter in geography, that is chapter number 7, Rocks and its type. This chapter is from Standard 6th Geography textbook. This video is presented by Grecienne, Misquitta. The images used in this video are taken from different internet sites.
Well, students, in this chapter, let us learn about rocks. Our learning objectives for today will be the formation of rocks, the properties of rocks, the types of rocks, that is, igneous rocks and sedimentary rocks. Let's discuss about these pictures in your books. You can see picture A. That is a landslide. A landslide is a movement of rock or soil slipping down due to rain, earthquake, or the other factors that lead to this landslide. Landslide is a natural calamity. Moving on to picture B. You can see some men working on one part of the mountain. This can be because of obtaining rocks or valuable stones. This is known as mining. Mining is done by man to obtain valuable minerals by digging into a mountain or a large rock. In picture C, you can see some stones. These are known as pebbles or sea rock pebbles. You must have seen these pebbles in fish tanks or in people's houses for decoration. Pebbles come in various structures, sizes, and colors. So, students, can you tell me the differences or similarities in these three pictures? Well, the similarity is that these three pictures talk about rocks. And the difference is, in picture A, it is a natural calamity of a rock. In picture B, we come to know people doing man-made activity or cutting into the rock, whereas the third picture is a natural process through which rocks are formed. The earth is divided into different layers. That is the core, in which we have the inner core and the outer core, the lower mantle and the upper mantle, the lithosphere and the crust. The interior or the inner part of the earth, that is the inner core and the outer core, are made up of two metals, that is iron, and the other metal is nickel. The crust and the mantle is made up of, or it comprises of, silica. What is the lithosphere? The lithosphere is made up of, or it comprises of, the crust and the upper mantle. There are many rocks that are formed and reformed in the lithosphere. Rocks are a mixture of different minerals formed by natural processes in the lithosphere. Different types of rocks undergo different processes in their formation. And there are three major types of rocks, that is, the igneous rock, sedimentary rock, and the metamorphic rock. Every rock has its own way or own process of being formed.
Scientists who study rocks are known as geologists. They study rocks in order to understand and categorize the rocks as well as to identify new types of rocks. Rocks are combined of different minerals or crystals. Properties also depend on the constituent minerals and their proportion, such as the shape, size, the distribution of void space, etc., of a mineral grain or crystal arranged in a rock. Some minerals are very easy to identify. Others can be a little difficult or complex. Color. Color is one of the most obvious characteristic of a mineral, but generally it is seen in a rock. The different color in a rock given through to it through a mineral, as well as the hardness. How hard a rock is. Hardness is a measure to see how resistant a mineral is to scratching. The next thing is streak. Now, the streak refers to the color that a rock leaves after it is rubbed against something porcelain. Luster. Luster also means in a way to see how light reflects on that rock. The Earth's crust is 98% made up of 8 elements, that is, oxygen, silica, aluminium, iron, magnesium, calcium, sodium, and potassium, out of which silica, aluminium, magnesium, and iron are the major rock forming minerals. There are other minerals too in different rocks. Three basic types of rocks: igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic rocks. Now, the most common type of rock in the Earth's crust is the igneous rocks, which are formed due to volcanic and from molten material. Sedimentary rocks are formed from eroded materials of other rocks, and metamorphic rocks are basically sedimentary or igneous rocks that have been transformed or changed due to pressure or heat. The interior of the earth has very high temperatures. As a result, the material in the part is in the molten state or the melted state. Sometimes this material gets released because of damage or an opening in the crust. This is called a volcano. A volcano is formed due to the opening of the Earth's crust and hot molten rock, ash, and gases that escape through it. Some volcanoes erupt and it spills lava that flows down the hill. Hot ash, gases, lava, dust, etc. are thrown out during volcanic eruptions. Igneous rock. The term igneous is derived, or it comes from the Latin word ignis, which means fire. Igneous rocks are formed in a way by the cooling and hardening of magma. Now, what is magma? Magma is a molten or melted rock under the surface of the earth. When it is produced and reaches to the top side of the earth surface, it is called lava. Hence, the eruptions of lava and ash produce volcano. The lava that reaches the surface of the earth will harden and become igneous rock. When magma does not reach the surface, it produces a variety of other structures or substances or rocks. As these rocks are formed out of the material from the interior of the earth, these are also referred to as primary rocks. Mostly, these rocks appear hard and homogeneous. Homogeneous means almost alike. They are heavy as well.
Well, students, as you can see, these are some of the examples of igneous rock. Granite. Granite is an igneous rock. It is light in color and is covered with grains which are visible from the outside, as well as one can feel it through in its texture. The two main types of minerals you will find in granite is quartz and feldspar. Due to those minerals present in the rock, it gives it red, pink, grey or white color along with the dark grains as well, which are visible throughout the rock, as you can see in this picture. Basalt. Basalt is another type of igneous rock. It is a fine grained and it is dark colored. As you can see, this rock is black in color and is grainy, but the grains are not visible. The two main minerals you will find in basalt is pyroxene and plagioclase. Basalt is also found in large quantity on the moon. Basalt is used for many purposes such as construction, making roads, in floor tiles, etc. Diorite. Diorite is a coarse-grained rock. Coarse-grained basically means when you touch the rock, you can feel sand grains on the rock. This rock is having a combination of granite and basalt. Diorite is used for many construction purposes and in the parking lot as well as for making buildings. It is also used for art purposes like making stone statues because of its hardness and in the way it is made of, comprising of different minerals. The last rock is pumic stone or the pumic rock. The pumic rock is another type of igneous rock and it is porous, which means it has many holes through which air and liquid can pass through slowly. This rock is formed during volcanic eruptions. Pumic stone is not heavy in nature as compared to other rocks. This stone is used largely in American states for its lightweight structure.
The Maharashtra plateau and the Sahyadris are formed out of igneous rocks. Basalt is a major example of igneous rock. We also realize that the black cotton soil is formed by black basalt rock. Black cotton soil is also found in the Deccan plateaus. The eastern Maharashtra, especially Wainganga basin, consists of varieties of rocks such as granitic and sediments, resulting in the formation of different soils as well. In the Himalayas and the Deccan Plateau, you find the coarse grain granitic rocks. Most of the hill forts in Maharashtra, as you know, built by our Shivaji Maharaj, have lakes and inbuilt reservoirs and water tanks, and also elephant yards. Now, what are elephant yards? Elephant yards are basically is basically a place where elephants were kept, before an army. So, how these forts were built and how they are still standing, how the rocks are still maintained. So, there are old quarry sites we come to know. From now, what are quarry sites? They are basically big, large pits, or you could say holes which were dug out for these rocks, stones, and other materials. So, rocks that were obtained from these sites and used for the construction of the fort and other buildings inside the fort, they were now dug and left open. So, in these pits and dugouts left behind after rock extraction, that rainwater was allowed to be filled and accumulate in these places. Hence, these lakes, tanks, reservoirs were created inside the fort. So, many forts in India, including in Maharashtra, Rajasthan, you'll find a lot of forts having inbuilt these reservoirs and lakes or tanks, water tanks. So, examples of these are the Raigad Fort of Maharashtra, the Janjira Fort, and the Naldur Fort, as you can see in these images. Let's look at the next type of rocks, that is the sedimentary rocks. Now, sedimentary rocks are formed on or near the earth's surface. Now, you can see there is continuous changes in temperatures, and big large rocks due to that develop some cracks. Similarly, in the same way, the water that goes through these cracks also make the rocks soft from inside, which leads to weathering and erosions of these rocks, and they finally break or they get decomposed. Now they get because of that they break into small pieces. Now these rocks or these small pieces get transported due to different factors such as the winds, the rains, the glaciers, the rivers, etc., and they get deposited in low lying area, as in to the bottom of the land or the sea. And one after the other, these layers or these sediments keep getting together, and they get deposited in one place. So as the sediments keep on piling up, the upper sediments put a lot of pressure on the lower sediments or the lower layers, hence which leads to the compaction, or you could say they come together to form one rock. And thus this way you can see the sedimentary rocks are formed. One can easily see layers in sedimentary rocks. You can see the different layers of these rocks, and also you can see sometimes when these rocks are getting deposited, there are plants as well stuck on the rocks, or some kind of animals which which are dead, and the pressure of the upper layers on the lower layers press them so much that the impression of the dead animal or plants are found on those rocks, which are also known as fossils. So you can find fossils in these rocks, and sedimentary rocks are generally brittle, meaning they are they can easily break, and they are lightweight. That means they are not heavy. Most of them are porous. Now, porous meaning they are very void from inside, very not very heavy because of its weight. Okay, so erosion and weathering includes the effect of wind and rain, which slowly break down the large rock into smaller rocks, hence leading to the creation of these sedimentary rocks. As you can see in this, there are different examples of the sedimentary rocks we spoke about earlier. Limestone and chert are examples of the chemical sedimentary rocks, and you can see their solid shape. But as compared to the detrital sedimentary rocks, you can see there is shale, there are corals. They all form of chemical sedimentary rocks. Only the detrital rock, there is one example, is the Albemarle County rock. Okay, so these are different examples of sedimentary rocks, some which include sandstones as well. One may also find coal seams in these sedimentary rocks.
Well, students, let's have a quick revision of all the things that we learned in today's video. First, we learned about how rocks are formed. We learned that rocks are formed in the lithosphere. We also looked at the different properties of rocks. We studied that rocks are combined of different minerals or crystals. They also have properties like shape, size, luster, streaks, etc. We looked at the different types of rocks and the different minerals that are comprised in these rocks, such as silica, aluminium, magnesium, iron, and so on. Then we studied about volcanoes and how volcanoes are formed. We also looked at what is the meaning of magma and lava. We learned how igneous rocks are formed through the molten lava that gets solidified, which gives us igneous rocks. There are different types of igneous rocks, that is granite, basalt, diorite, and pumic. We saw where these igneous rocks are formed and where do we find them in our own state of Maharashtra. Then we also saw the different types, the second type of rock, the sedimentary rock. And we realized that how rocks are eroded and washed away by wind and water and later form layers upon layers, which gives us sedimentary rocks. We also saw the different types of sedimentary rocks, that is limestone, chert, shale, and corals.
Thank you, students, for being so attentive, and hope you enjoyed this video.